Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Jacked YGO here today. So today we're coming at you with my January 2023 / Toronto Regionals 2023 deck profile / update. So if you guys have been going along with the streams and stuff and all the dueling book replays, yeah, I've been, for the last couple of weeks, I kind of committed to just playing this deck for the regionals. I was initially just going to play a Shizu tier, knowing that Toronto is more of a larger scale regionals event. There's a lot of people that will go to that and a lot of bigger names go to that. So I was actually just going to play a Shizu tier. That's what I was actually playtesting for the whole time. And then about a week and a half or 2 weeks before, my buddies and I were all talking about, they're like, man, you should probably just play DDDs. And the reason we kind of discussed this, and the reason why I decided to move forward with this was because, like, when it comes to DDDs, I know a lot of people like look at me as like where the deck is right now, and like, you know, how like people like kind of look at me for like updates on the deck, right? So I figured, you know what, I think it would be a healthy thing for me to do, to take this to a larger event and really give a like true feedback on where I think the deck is and where the pockets are where this deck needs work. Because through a deck building standpoint, right, like you guys and I have been working on this deck for a while. It started with like the 43 cards with like tactics and bell and stuff, and then we moved all the way up to a 45 card list, so I was actually performing the best out of everything. And yeah, so we already knew what to build the deck for, the hand trap ratios. I did all the math and everything, like the consistency, like how often you will brick and how many hand traps you should see per hand. And through those 9 rounds, it definitely proved that that was the case, that the ratios, the quote-unquote scientific ratios behind what I was playing was actually proving true. So that was good. Now, so the deck overall was good. The thing I want to go over is what happened during the regionals. So 350 person tournament, or 350 plus, I think it was like 357 or something. It was 9 rounds, called 9 rounds of Swiss, and the tournament was actually running great. So Shadow Realm, yes, the side deck ran that event, and it was great. After 9 rounds of Swiss, the tournament was over at like 6. Like I was done playing just after 6, and I think it was completely over at like 6:30. Or maybe it was like 7. Like everything was announced, like the tops and everything, like the standings was announced at about 7, which is awesome. Like that's really fast for 9 rounds. So if it was 8 rounds, I was probably out of there at like 5:30, like realistically, right? So yeah, shoutouts to the side deck. They definitely did like an amazing job running that event. I definitely had a great time. And yeah, so kind of going into a recap of what actually happened in the event and how I did as a whole. So 9 rounds, I ended up going, I'm just going to tell you guys now, this is the worst I've ever done in a tournament. I went X5. Like, it's crazy to think I went X5 in a 9-round tournament, and there's some reasoning behind that. So I want to just state now that I never actually did any major misplays or anything. One second. Just thinking a little bit. I'm not going to cut this out. Yeah, okay, so there was only one minor misplay that I did that didn't matter. I played against a branded player where I banished his Ra's Disciple, and they summoned that from banish anyways, but it didn't matter. That I had an answer to the card that summoned it. The card that won in the game was the Bestial, but we'll get into that. That was the only like misplay I did. Outside of that, it was all dependent on variance at that point. So out of 9 rounds, I only won 1 die roll. And the issue is that I found that this deck needs right now is that the deck needs to win die rolls to really show good performance. If you guys like seeing the replays and stuff, like watching me play live, a lot of the matches I would win was when I would go first, because when you go first, you kind of have that upper hand, because when we're going second, we have to deal with boards, and then the B is that we have to deal with the Bestial cards. So the Bestial cards kind of hinder our performance going second, and then people can side in for us, so it really hurts us. It's really hard to win that game 3. So that's one thing I really noticed throughout the tournament, was it was very hard to win when I lost the roll. It's kind of like going back to the synchro format now, like very similar to the synchro format, where if you don't win the die roll, it's going to be hard because we have really no answers to the Bestials unless we have a bell, which sometimes they'll just drop a Druid Swarm after your bell anyways. So yeah, the moral of the story is I definitely would have done better if I had some better luck in the die rolls, but unfortunately I only won 1 die roll out of 9 rounds, so it is like that, right? So I decided to just brave it out and just play the whole 9 rounds. So let's kind of go over the recap. So round 1, I played against, well, I don't know like right off the top of my head, like in like groupings, but I'll just go. I remember all the rounds in an order, so I'll just kind of go over those. So round number 1 was against Sprite. So I started off hot. I 2-0'd Sprite. That was pretty good. I lost the die roll. I'll tell you which one I won the die roll, but everything else I lost the die roll, so we'll just assume I lost the die roll for everything. So yeah, round 1 I won 2-0 against Sprite, which is awesome. I opened the correct ratios of hand traps. Game 2 was just back in game 2. I like clogged on hand traps, but it was enough to shut him down, because if you know how to use your hand traps against Sprite, you got to know that they have their 1 normal summon and they have an extender, which is starter. That's it. So if you can stop them from doing that, I stopped them from doing that for 2 turns. I was able to just push through once I got another piece in my hand. Round 2 was against Ishizu Tier. This is the only Ishizu Tier player I played the whole day, which surprised me. So there was a ton of Rogue. There's actually a ton of Rogue. There's a lot of Sprite at the event, which is crazy. That's good for us because I find our matchup into Sprite's actually a lot easier. I don't really find Sprite to be the greatest deck. It's consistent, but it's very easy to answer, especially if we can build a board. Pretty much, if we go first against Sprite, we're always going to win, because unless they open like 3 hand traps both games for us going first, we're probably just going to win, because our rank 6 and trap just answer their whole scenario. Like, they really can't do anything. So yeah, I was cool with seeing a lot of Sprite, to be honest. So but anyways, I played a Shizu Tier. He wins. I'm not even gonna say he won the roll. I'll get, again, when I hit the when I get to the match where I did win the roll, I'll clarify that. But again, every single match I lost the die roll outside of that one. So against the Shizu Tier, he goes, he builds, he opens the nuts, he hits, every time he mills, he hit a different name. So he ended on Dweller, Dweller, both the boss monster fusions, like Rukalos, how am I forgetting the names? Kaleido Heart, I was going to say Rhino Heart, the field spell, both shufflers, live, Abyss Dweller, he had Solik, he had a Havness in hand, and he had Scream face up. So I was actually able to play through all the interruptions. And but as I was building, I just kind of wanted to see, like, just get through that. Just it was a 15-minute game 1. Eventually I got to the point where I built up enough of a board, but it wasn't going to be enough because he had serious follow-up. I just scooped at that point. Game 2, I activated Swirl Slime at a 3-card combo. It was actually a good hand. I went Swirl Slime, he gammed it instantly, and I normal summoned Copernicus, sent the red slime. He banished, he had double Bestial, so he banished both the red slime and the swirl slime. So I was still able to do the 2-card combo. The issue is that once you restrict the red slime and the green slime, I can't make the rank 6 because I only have one way to make the fusion. So I was able to set up Headhunt, but the problem is he still had Sheeran, and he was still able to build a board to the point where my Headhunt didn't matter, and he almost misplayed into summoning Dark and not having a timing correct on Mud Dragon, to where, because he didn't realize that I can just take his with Machine X. So Machine X was actually going to put in work, and eventually he just hit an extra name, so it didn't matter. So yeah, unfortunately I lost that. It was out of my control. Round 3, I played against Flandres. Game 3, I double Veilered him. He was just going to pass, and he activated the spell to draw a card, the one that shuffles back draw. He shuffles back, and he draws a map, and he activates map. So that was the best possible draw I could have gotten. My hand was good, but it was all normal summons. So I knew if I normal summon, he had access to the barrier statue, and I couldn't play around a barrier statue. So I had to Pendulum Summon. I had enough names to Pendulum Summon for a rank 4, so I made a 5-material Zeus. It was enough to hold him off for 1 turn, and then I couldn't hit a top deck, so I just lost. So yeah, that map draw was really unfortunate, so I had to take the loss. Round 4, this is the one I actually won the die roll. It was against World Chalice. Like, for some reason, World Chalice is in the format, and the deck actually has a lot of gas because they just turbo like Link plays, and some of their cards are actually pretty nutty. I won first, but the deck wants to go second, so it's almost like it didn't even matter. I ended up winning. He did a misplay where I had 1,000 life when I won, because he used the card that boosts Avermax to 6,000 pretty much, and I had 1,000 life points, but he didn't attack Genghis, so Genghis negated the spell, and then I was able to kill him. So I had to play around the Avermax by, I had to find a way to make Baron, which I did. And then game 2, he actually went first because he plays side cards to go first, I guess. Yeah, I was able to triple hand trap him and just go combo, so that was game. That was in 2. Round 5, If I can remember round 5. Round 5 was against Sprite. Bisteel Sprite. So I played Bisteel Sprite. That was in 3. I ended up winning that one in time, actually. It was the only one I went to time. I ended up winning. Round 6. So I was X2 into round 6. So I hit round 6 as an X2. I played another Sprite player. This is the one Sprite matchup I actually lost. Both games, I lost in 2. Both games he opened double Bisteel and a Veiler. Our deck cannot play around double Bisteel and Veiler. It happened both games. I was able to stop him on his turn. He only had access to Sprint, so I figured he had a lot of hand traps. I had the 3-card combo, but it didn't matter. So I had 3-card combo both games, but again, it doesn't matter because he knew how to play against the deck. He just held the Veiler for the Gilgamesh, and then the 2 Bisteels just stopped me from making any other further players. So yeah, on top of having the double Bisteel Veiler, he also had starter and a normal summon, and another name when he drew. So yeah, I couldn't do anything about that whatsoever. So once we get to round 6, I'm X3. It is what it is. Round 7, I played against Branded Despia. So not winning the die roll against Branded Despia can be kind of hard sometimes. I actually got to that match 5 minutes late. Someone told me randomly the round started, and I looked at the phone, and they started 5 minutes. So he thankfully didn't call a judge, so I lost game 1. So we were just able to play it out. Basically, I stopped him from playing, and then I had 2 minutes to go. This is where I used the DD Crow on the Ra's Disciple, because he had the branded dragon to set a trap, and then I don't know how the Ra's Disciple combo works. I thought they summoned it from grave, so I banished it at end phase with Crow. He's like, okay, and then he sets the trap, and he has Masquerade face up. So I have my hand, when I draw, I have a 3-card combo of Swirl Slime, Ragnarok, and Lamia, which is enough for me to push for damage and then win on time. So I just had to rely on him not having a Bisteel, because now I can Fusion Summon. It doesn't matter what trap he has set. I Fusion Summon because I summon High King, which can turn out his trap. The issue was he had a Bisteel, so when I tried to summon back, he had a Bisteel, which instantly won in the game. So yeah, unfortunate. Again, the Bisteels are what's really hurting us when we don't lose a die roll, especially. Round 8 was against Marincess. I played Marincess. I lost that in 3. I clogged on hand traps game 3, unfortunately. I had a Swirl Slime and 5 hand traps. The reason why that's not going to work against Marincess is because all their cards in the graveyard do stuff next turn. So he just killed me on the follow-up. It was just bad. Lastly, round 9, I played Fluanderies. I won that in 3. I was able to play through a Featherstorm. I mean, it's not like this game matters much at that point, but I was able to play through a Featherstorm. Game 3, I just set up so I could make a Machine X. It was Featherstorm D-Shifter. I was able to make a Machine X with 2 contracts, and then I passed, and then it was enough to shut him down with a Veiler in hand. And yeah, I just killed him on the bounce back. So yeah, that's pretty well moral of the story. Pretty well everything went to 3. I mean, the moral of the story is, when it comes to this format and moving forward, is that A, we need to win die rolls because people gain a lot of advantage through Bisteels, and B, and then if you're also playing Fluanderies, it's fairly die roll dependent unless you really draw into your good side deck cards. And the one Fluanderies I lost was very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah, and there's a lot of other things that hurt it. Obviously, if I played a bunch of Ishizu tier, wasn't going to do as well. I have like a 50% win ratio against tier. If I go first, it's a bit different. I have a lot better chance, but again, this all kind of resolves around going first. So yeah, moral of the story is, if I won some more die rolls, I had more luck with die rolls, I definitely would have done a lot better. But yeah, it's hard when you don't win die rolls in this deck right now, especially. It's kind of like going back to the synchro format, I would say, when we need to win the die roll, and we just kind of win from there. So yeah, ideally, I would have liked to go X3. I thought I had a good chance when I went X3 after round 6. It just didn't go my way, right? So yeah, anyways, guys, I'm going to get into the deck profile because I have probably about half an hour more to film this before I got to get going. So yeah, I'm going to dig right into the deck profile, explain my ratios. I know you guys have a few comments on like why I'm not playing certain things and why I am playing certain things. So I'm going to go right into depth with this, and yeah, enjoy the video. We'll see you on my playmat. Okay guys, so let's just get right into the deck profile here. So yeah, the main deck count is 45 cards, 15 obviously, and then 15. So yeah, the thing I'm going to touch on again is the deck list was actually solid. It did play to its standards, which was you can expect it to brick about 1 out of every 8 to 9, 1 out of every, you can expect to open consistently 85% of the time. So every 8 to 9 games, you should be consistent, which was it proved correctly. What, I don't know what word I was trying to say. Sorry guys, I just like woke up from a long day, but like yesterday. But yeah, it proved correctly the ratios. And then I seen multiple hand traps when I needed to, which is great. Again, it's not always going to be. It's not kind of like last format where you can like multiple hand trap someone and then it's going to work in your favor all the time, because sometimes the Bystials can really just ruin your day. Bystials are very powerful against us. So yeah, moral of the story is, guys, like the deck's great. It just needs to go first, but we'll kind of wrap all that up after. So let's just get into the deck profile. Okay, so again, main deck count is 45 cards. I'm going to start off with 3 Kepler. I'll go over individually because I think you guys like it more when I go over each and every single one individually. So Kepler is great. Obviously, the scale 10 actually came up a few times where I'd scale it and special summon Ragnarok from my scale, and I would just OTK there. That actually happened 3 times during the tournament. The bounce effect came up twice during the tournament, which was nice. I would bounce back Orthros, and then I would be able to special summon it, and then go from there to make a synchro play. It's nice. So yeah, Kepler was great. Triple Swirl Slime. Swirl Slime is amazing. You're going to be fusion summoning with this and then banish to special summon. I mean, this is like how you kind of push through boards. The issue is, though, is that you got to watch the material you're sending sometimes, because if you sense your opponent has a Bystial, it can really hinder you if you don't have a way to make a rank 4 afterwards. Because the material you're sending with Swirl Slime really can matter sometimes. You're so used to summoning, you're pretty well in a habit of sending Griffin, which now you got to watch, because if you need Griffin in your hand to continue comboing further, you don't want it banished, right? So sometimes it's better to keep the Griffin in. I'll actually go over that when I go over, but they kind of sequence together. It's kind of why I'm explaining it here, but yeah, so 3 Swirl Slime is standard. So 3 Griffin. To continue on with Griffin, Griffin was by far the best card in your deck right now. So the thing is with Griffin, right? If you have Swirl Slime and Griffin with another piece, sometimes you actually want to send Swirl with the other piece, so they try to banish the target that you're special summoning, so you can already special summon the Griffin and then have an access to a rank 4, because you're special summoning Griffin, and then you can scale up, pop the Griffin, and then banish this to special the Griffin from your hand to continue on the rank 4 play, and then grab Headhunt later. So that's kind of how you're playing around Bystials right now. But yeah, I'll kind of go over that. I'll probably find a way to make a couple combos after this, and how I'm preparing to combo through Bystials when I think my opponent has them, which they usually do. So yeah, 3 Griffin. Griffin's, again, the best card in your deck. This format for sure. 3 Copernicus. Copernicus was amazing. Having the Foolish Burial on the follow-up pretty well wins you the game most of the time. Yeah, nothing to say much about Copernicus. Burn Effect to protect Burn Effect never came up in 9 rounds. I don't think it ever has, because you have Rage. If you're not playing Rage, this is the card you're putting in your scale to protect you from burn. Double Orthros. So that's it for the 3 of us, right? So double Orthros. Orthros, amazing. Again, I actually just love Orthros. I wouldn't play this at 3 just because it doesn't share any synergy with some cards. I actually never bricked on this, which was nice. Sometimes you'll draw this with the friggin'. It doesn't interact with every card. This doesn't interact with Swirl Slime. So I used to sometimes draw Swirl Slime and Orthros, or Orthros and a dead card. Fortunately, I never had that happen, so that was good. Yeah, Orthros is just nice to be able to summon. It protected me once when they swung for battle damage and I special summoned this, and I was actually able to win on the bounce back, which was nice. I was against one of the Sprite players actually, and yeah, Orthros is just amazing to make the your synchro plays too. So you need to play Orthros, and then it deals with back row, but there was no back row the whole tournament, which is nice. Back row decks are kind of dead right now. For the 1-ofs, so we're gonna go over these first. These are standard, dead standard. You have to play these. Thomas, really good, right? I'm scaling this actually sometimes more than I am Ragnarok because the Bystials. Sometimes you have to Since the Bistill's just running rampant, you have to like scale this sometimes to get access to your next rank 4, like I was saying with Griffin. I'll kind of go over the combo I was talking about in a test hand scenario afterwards, but yeah. And then Ragnarok is just amazing to... Ragnarok killed my opponent 3 times that tournament. It was crazy because you can just summon it out, revive a card, just keep going. It's so good on turn 3, it's nuts. Like I said, that one game against Branded was, I opened this with Swirl Slime and a Lamia. Basically, with 2 minutes left on the clock, I just had to rely on him not having a Bestial, so I just won that game. He had a Bestial, so it was wraps. Again, that hand's not bad, but I mean, the good thing about Ragnarok is that you have immediate access to a Spell or Trap negation, which was the case there, so it stopped his back row from ever activating. The issue was, again, he had a Bestial for my the Ragnarok that I tried to summon back, which was going to win me the game. But yeah, it is what it is. Again, tournament didn't really go in our favor, but it is what it is sometimes. Usually I'll just drop after X2 or X3, especially X3, but again, I wanted to see how this deck played out through 9 rounds, so... the last one so I'm playing Rage. Obviously I'm playing Rage because, well, I'll get into my consistency cards later if you guys haven't seen my list yet. So I'm playing Rage and no Cerberus. So a lot of people are wondering why I'm doing this because it restricts my access to the 1-card combo. If you guys have been watching my replays for a bit, there's a reason why I don't play Cerberus anymore, and that's because in the beginning, Cerberus was bricking a lot more. Cerberus was bricking on me a lot more than I needed it. And as I removed Cerberus, I actually never once needed the Cerberus. And there was like 1 or 2 times literally through the whole replay where I may have needed a 1-card combo, but it would get stopped anyways, or I would find access to it later on. Like, Cerberus just never comes up. Like, again, like the first 3 times I did those streams was when the 3rd time around is where I removed Cerberus because I just kept bricking on it. And then after I removed it, I never once had the need to put it back. And after 9 rounds of the regionals, the very first round against Sprite is where I actually clogged on hand traps and had the 1-card combo. But it didn't matter much because he had a Veiler for me anyways. And that was the only time in 9 rounds where I would have actually needed to use Cerberus to make the rank 4. That was it, out of 9 rounds. So what I'm trying to say is Cerberus, it's gonna cut, and it's good that it's level 4, but it also doesn't synergize with cards like it doesn't synergize with a card like it only has synergy with which is pretty good, right? It has synergy with like Griffin, Swirl, and Kepler. But what I'm trying to say is that you'd rather have a hand trap in your hand, and what I'm trying to do at the same time is that if I don't need this, I'm trying to put more hand traps in because we need at least 2 answers to you need 2 to 3 hand traps to stop Tyr from playing, or any deck at that right now. So yeah, that's why I cut Cerberus, so I could just make more space, number 1. And 2, this card was bricking way more than I actually needed it. So moving forward, you actually don't need Cerberus. You do need Rage, 100%. You need Rage, but Cerberus is not necessary at all. I would, if you're playing it now, I would just try, if I were you, I would just try cutting it and just see how it plays out, because I'm telling you, I actually never need this card ever. I never missed it once. Again, through all the testing, like, I have tested this deck enough lately to understand that you don't need Cerberus. I've play tested this like crazy, and I played 9 rounds and I never needed the Cerberus, never missed it once. So, except for that one when I just had a bunch of hand traps, but again, I had so many hand traps that I was going to have recursion on the follow-up. So, again, the one time you're probably going to need this, you're probably going to get met with an Imperm or a Veiler. So, yeah, it's going to brick on you more than necessary. So, Rage is necessary. I scaled this a lot. You don't need Cerberus. So, again, you can trust me through playtesting this deck for literally the last 2 weeks, like, a lot, like, pretty much daily. Whenever I was done work, and then when I had time on the weekends, I would just playtest it, right? So, yeah. Moral of the story is you don't need Cerberus. You can just play Rage. A lot of people had questions on that, so I just wanted to clarify that. Your one-ups, these 3. This never changes. Typhon is not cuttable, especially at this point, because this is what's going to help you push through Bastiles, and I'll show you why in the 2-card combo, and then how I'm doing the 2-card combo now, and then you have Lamia as your one-of. Lamia actually never came up. It actually did to help me extend and trigger a Genghis once, but that was it. Lamia just never really came up. I would say you still need to play it, because there is some times where you are going to need to push through with a Copernicus to special summon. So there was a couple times where I felt that I needed it there, but I wouldn't get through to that case. So yeah, moving on to the spell count, the contract count. I mean, Yeah, we're playing the 5. This is Nothing Shy. This card, I never actually used it for the lock, unfortunately. I sent this card a lot, though, to recycle. I recycled a link with this once to help me win on the follow-up. And, yeah, so patent. And you also want to play 5. The reason why you want to play 5 is because if you play 4, you have a really small chance of actually being able to open one. And the reason why that sucks is because Griffin can't pop itself out of scale, so you can do the Thomas play if you don't have access to a contract. So yeah, you want to at least see 1 contract in your hand, especially this one, right? So yeah, so that's it for the contracts. Last DD card is DD Headhunt. This card is like the reason why this deck can actually compete right now. This card's crazy. It's such a powerful card. This won me a lot of games when I went first. Like, oh man, like I'll always prioritize this card because you just take their card that's most important, most value, and there's not really a deck that can answer this card effectively. Yeah, Headhunt's the reason why this deck can actually compete right now in any shape or form. So yeah, again, it's reliant on going first right now, but if you do go first, this card's going to win you a lot of games. So consistency cards. So I'm playing triple map 1 for 1. A lot of people are wondering why I'm not playing Small World right now, and that's because Small World, this format's based off of advantage. Small World isn't much of an advantage card because you're doing a -1. Small World's more of a value card where it was important in a format where you were trying to make Baron, and then your Baron was basically an FTK, that combo. So it made more sense to go for Small World in that sense, where you could still play 12 hand traps and have a consistent 3-card combo deck where you're trying to play around Nib and stuff in the prior formats. And then after Power of the Elements, it became different, where Power of the Elements has now created a format where it's all based off of, oh my god, not value, based off of resource management and card advantage. So Puri Map's going to give you really good card advantage, especially off a top deck where you're basically searching your, you're not doing any negative value for yourself. And there's a card in the extra deck I'm playing that helps you still do an effective 3-card combo with a Puri Map instead of just going for Baron. So yeah, Puri Map's definitely the right call right now. Again, that's also why you're playing Rage, because Rage being a scale 0 is awesome too, because you can Pendulum Summon out Kepler on your follow-up, which is great. So again, it all comes down to advantage with this card, right? That's why I'm playing Puri over Small World. Again, Small World's more of a value proposition card. It's not an advantage scenario card. And then 1 for 1. 1 for 1's crazy. I won every single time I resolved this card. It actually got met with an Ash once, which is pretty insane. Definitely, it got ashed against the Sprite player, and then I had to scoop that game. So I did win the match, but when this got ashed, I just had to pass. So yeah. Moving on to the hand trap count. So for consistency, a DD card is 30 cards, which is correct. It helps so you can see again, it makes it so the way it works, if I can kind of go over it, is if you guys have seen a lot of my stuff. So these cards, Orthros, Copernicus, Griffin, Swirl Slime, Kepler, the consistency cards, and the gates. So all these cards work together as a 2-card combo. I mean, the only cards that don't is like Orthros and Swirl Slime, but these are 21 cards, right? This is 12, 14, yeah, this is 21 cards that all interact in a 45-card deck that can all interact as combo pieces. So the way I kind of templated this was through Sword Soul decks that were doing well. And I noticed Sword Soul is always 2-card combo. Sword Soul was playing 20 to 21 cards that interacted with each other so that they could keep their consistency. So that's where I templated this, that I had to play this for me to be able to see the same consistency levels that Sword Soul's seeing. Now, Sword Soul's a bit different because they can all interact with all their worm cards, but again, I noticed if Sword Soul's still seeing consistent, not like huge talks, but still seeing some consistent plays, then I can play the same consistency count and do just as well, right? Not just as well because their deck struggles more than Sword Soul does, but what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to keep that consistency, if not more at that point. So that's the point of playing these cards. So you want to keep it at 21, and the math comes out to about you're going to break out of every 1 to 10 games is where it comes down to. So yeah, so moral of the story is to go undefeated at a 9-round regional, it's almost impossible unless you have really good luck, but yeah. So moving on so that's it for the DD cards. Let's go on to the hand traps. I'm playing 15 hand traps. It's always been 12 to 13. Now it's 15. So we need to play 15 this format because like our deck's at a severe disadvantage right now. So playing the 15 hand traps is really going to help us in terms of losing, number one, losing the die roll sometimes, and number two, keeping the control. So we can, because gate is a great card to keep control in the game. There's a lot of games where I was just keeping, there was 4 games actually where I was able to just slow my opponent down and gate just kept giving me resources, which is awesome. So 3 Bell, 3 Ash. So I want to explain these as a whole here. This is specifically for the Ishizu matchup, the tier matchup. This will stop Havness from triggering on your turn, and this also stops any of their names, number one, but also the Bystials. So this card's amazing if they only open 1 Bystial. If they open 2, it's still fine because you can usually play through 2 Bystials. Or you can usually play through 1 Bystial. 2, it's a lot harder to play through. If you get 2 double Bystials, you're probably not playing the game. But this at least stops one of them so you can continue to play. And this card's also really good in every single combo matchup right now. This stops Sprite from playing, which I played 3. This card was great into Sprite. This card was really good into Marincess. This card was really good into the World Legacy deck. Like every single combo deck I play, this is the best hand trap for sure. Ash was mediocre today. Again, I only played 1 Ishizu tier and I never seen this card against Ishizu tier, so is what it is. But yeah. So that's the reason for playing these. So that's the first 6. The next ones are going to be the Veiler. So I'm just going to put all these down because these are... So these are all... So this is the last set of the hand traps here. If I can just put these all out here. So yeah, we already covered these. So these are all towards the hate towards Ishizu tier, right? So all these... Any combination of these 2 cards can really slow down tier unless they open like insane and they can still play on your turn. If they open if they open like good, like just good, like an average hand, any combination of these 2 should do the job for you. So that's kind of why I'm playing all these hand traps. Again, the Bystial can interact on both turns. And funny thing is, I actually only seen Druid Swarm once the whole tournament. I don't know why, but it's not like it was super important throughout the other matchups, but I only seen this card once through the whole tournament. I don't know why, but I just did. So it was against the branded player. So I don't know why. I just never seen Druid Swarm today, but it is what it is. So Druid Swarm was the most underperforming card because I never seen it. The rest of these were great. This was great. I'm really thankful I had these against Flunder because this was really what was winning me against Flunder. Because I lost the roll every single time against Flunder, which is very unfortunate because you want to win the roll against Flunder, then you're at a lot more of an advantage. Yeah, so these were all really good, but again, these all count. Any combination of these 2, unless they open absolutely absurd, should do the job in helping you to play on your turn when it comes to when you're playing against the Ishizu tier matchup. So yeah, so Druid Swarm's also really good in the sense where you've seen it come up a lot of times in testing where I'd special summon this normal Orthros and then I'd go for Baron, which was like really strong. But yeah. Unfortunately, that never came up today because I only seen Druid Swarm once out of 9 rounds somehow. Didn't make sense to me, but again, it wasn't super high impact because I wasn't playing a lot of Ishizu tier. So yeah, everything else was fine. So yeah, so that's it for the main deck. It was 45 cards. Let's go to this extra deck here. Fusions. I'm not going to explain these too much. This is fine. Yeah, you could play Dark, I guess, if you want, but I'll show you the tech I'm playing over Dark. I'll just go over the one tech I'm playing, really. Siegfried, Baron, and then the new tech is Armageddon. So anyone that's been seeing my replays, I explain why I play Armageddon. I summoned Armageddon 3 times during the tournament. Card was really good. I summoned it pretty well as much as I did. I actually summoned this more than I did Baron. I summoned Baron twice the whole tournament. Didn't come up a whole lot. It was actually to out Abramax. That was it. Armageddon's really good in the sense where Actually, fun fact, I never got nibbed the whole tournament, which is awesome. So I never really felt the need for Baron. I didn't feel the threat was there, really, unless I had to summon this thing. Armageddon is insane because literally the only reason why I'm playing Armageddon is because they can't target my monsters. Number 1, that's really good into tier, which again, I didn't see enough. It's also really good into Sprite. And number 2 is that this stops Druid Swarm. So we don't have an actual proper answer to a card like Druid Swarm. Because Druid Swarm summons for free and it trades with any of your boss monsters once they link it off or get rid of it. This card, if you can summon this and they have a Druid Swarm, which it happened once, I summoned Armageddon and it protects your whole board from Druid Swarm and anything else they're putting out. So if you can put this out with the trap, and the rank 6, it's usually just GG's. Like, I've never seen someone break that board before unless they had sheer board breakers. It actually happened against Fluanderies the last round. I went first, and he Dark Ruler Feather Dustered me, which was crazy. But yeah, he was able to play, but I had hand traps, so it was fine. Yeah, so this is the only card I really have to go over was Armageddon, right? XYZs, I'm not even gonna have these in order. Like, I don't have to explain these. You could play this at 3. It's not necessary. It's not the most important card in your extra deck right now as well. And 2 is fine. I've never ever needed the need to have 3 of this in the whole tournament and throughout recent testing, because I don't know, you're never really gonna need. This card isn't super great into a lot of matchups. It's good into branded, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not gonna explain these. These are pretty straightforward. Actually, I can't go over Caesar. The Caesar is, you need to summon this against tier, you're gonna lose. You need to, if you're playing against tier, you have to set up this and the trap in order to actually have an effective match against them, or effective game state against them. That's why when I played the tier guy, when he gamut, he just fired off all his hand traps, like probably not knowing what he was actually doing to me was actually really good. He gamut the first fusion, and then he bestialed the second fusion, which was the Necro Slime. So that means my only access to a fusion summon to make a level 6 was the spell, wherever the spell is. But yeah, it was the contract spell. So if I can't put up the rank 6 into tier, I'm definitely going to lose that match. So it was close because he did a misplay where he overstepped and didn't realize that Machine X doesn't target, and I had a chance to actually take control over the game. But again, he was able to hit another mill, and then it just didn't matter at that point because he hit another name. Every time that guy milled, he hit a different name, so I wish sometimes when I played that deck, but yeah. So that's it for the extra deck. Oh, 3 Gilgamesh, very standard, I'll explain this. Yeah, so that's it for the extra deck. Covers that. Let's go into the side. I'm going to go over some of the stuff I played in the side. Triple Tactics Talent. This card actually didn't do much today, to be honest. It took the Marincess guy's card when it didn't matter because I was going to win the game anyways. I never resolved this card going first. Crazy as it is, I never resolved it going first. I opened it a couple times going first, and every time I had this in my hand, they had Imperm, so it was just useless. Or they just didn't have anything. It was just kind of wild. Like they would have board breakers instead. So Talents was actually not that great for me. It would be in most scenarios, especially if you're playing against a lot of tier. But yeah, somehow Talents never really came up for me much. The one that did come up for me a lot was Gamma. This card was crazy. Gamma was awesome, especially into a lot of the rogue matches. Gamma, the Sprite play, it was insane against Sprite. I resolved it twice, or I resolved it in 2 of the matches of Sprite. And there was also the Fluanderies player. This was crazy against 2. And then the World Chalice player. Like, funny enough, Gamma just like destroys that deck. Yeah, so Gamma was definitely the best card in the side deck, no doubt about it. Seen it quite a bit, which was nice. Sorinir, I never sided in because I didn't play any tier. So this card never actually went in. If I played against tier, this card was 100% going in. It was part of my side patterns for tier. I'll go over my side patterns in a bit. DD Crow, this card went in a lot of games. If I was going first, I would take out Druis Worm and put this in instead. Again, I'll go over my side patterns in a bit. This card's really good into everything, every combo deck I find right now, actually. Oh yeah, and then the World Chalice guy, when he went first, he tried to do Ibly on me and I crowed it, which is crazy. And triple nib. So just 1 second. Nib was good. I nibbed a Sprite player once, and what was the other time it came up? Oh, it came up against Sprite twice. That's when it came up. Other than that, didn't really see it much either. Whenever I did see this, actually, was when I was clogging on hand traps. So yeah, kind of weird how some of it played out with how often I've seen some of these cards, but yeah, the deck performed consistent. The deck had consistent, definitely had great consistency. It's just when you don't win the die roll, it can be hard, to be honest. Just because the Bestials give them so much advantage over you, right? So I'm going to show you my siding patterns. If I'm going first and I'm playing like a combo deck, these will go in, and then I'm going to take out Imperms, and Druis Worm will come out. That way I'm not hard drawing, and I'm not drawing Imperm when my scales are going to be full. So that's what's going to go in for that. And then if I'm playing against tier, going second against tier, crows go in, nibs go in, Soriniers go in. I think that's it, yeah. So 8 go in, and then I'm going to take out all my go in first cards, which would be Headhunt, License, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the last card I take out is usually just another hand trap that's not super insane. It would be Bell. So I take out Bell and all my go first cards, and all these will go in against tier. Fortunately, again, I only played tier once. I was more so prepared for tier, and I just didn't see it much, so that's fine. Yeah, so that wraps up the main deck. Yeah, so I hope you guys like that deck profile. Again, to kind of report on the tournament, again, I actually played the tournament. Like, I played really well on my part. The only misplay that there was no major misplays, which was nice. No misplays that cost me the game or anything. So I played well on my part. It was just the only misplay I actually did that tournament was where I DD crowed the Ra's Disciple because I had no clue where they summoned that from, and it didn't matter anyways because I was gonna kill him anyways, but he had a Bestial. So yeah, my hand just wasn't good enough at that point. The reason why I like 45 cards is because it helps separate your one-ofs, which has been working better for me than when I play 42 or 43. I find when I play 42, I do see my one-ofs quite often, and I don't have enough hand traps. So behind the hand traps, you have a 56% chance to see 2 plus hand traps, and then your consistency side is about 85. It's like 85 or 86% to see combo. And then you also have the one card that's for just 2 plus combo. And then when you have your one card, you also have that to consider too, which is 13 starters. So you basically, out of 1 out of every 10 games, you're going to brick. That's what you can expect for. So yeah, honestly, the deck worked good. Again, I actually played it really well. It's just when you only win 1 die roll out of 9 matches, which is very unfortunate, it's really not going to work out too well in your favor in this meta, just because there's a lot of it's honestly what I found through my experience was that the Bestials can really hinder you in those scenarios, because sure, you can stop them from playing, but the Bestials also really give them advantage in terms of Magnum, because if you can't kill them, they're probably just going to kill you on the bounce back. So yeah, it's unfortunate that that had to happen, but is what it is. So like I said, I definitely played it well. It's just I wanted to stay in and just kind of give an experiment and give you guys feedback. Yes, I could have went in with Ishizu tier and done well, but for me, I just didn't find that as valuable as, like I said, even doing bad with this and just telling you guys an honest, brutal opinion of what I think of the deck is, and having an actual experience report to give you guys, which I find you guys would see a lot more value in. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys like that. I'm going to do a couple combos just to show you guys how I'm playing around Bestials right now. So I'll get into that. But again, overall experience of the tournament, it was really fun. At the same time, it's just... It's hard when you don't win any of your die rolls. And the one die roll I did win, it was against a deck that can go second really well. So it was like it's World Chalice Crusadia or whatever. Like, it's just, that deck can like do so many things going second. I was actually scared, to be honest. Like, but again, he misplayed and I was able to just kill him on the bounce back. And then, yeah, other thing is too to mention is that I had to deal with an Avermax twice, and Baron dealt that for me. It was once against Sprite and once against the Crusadia guy, and yeah, Baron just did that for me. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys like the deck profile. I'm gonna get into some 2-card combos. I'll see you guys on my mat in a quick second. I'm just gonna take a few to just film this because I gotta get going in a second. So we'll see you guys in a quick second. Okay, guys, so welcome to combo number 1. This is the 2-card combo that I have adjusted towards playing through Bestials. So normal summon Kepler effect. Not much explaining has to be done because, except for some certain parts, just because I've done so many of these combos at this point. Gate's gonna go ahead and search a Copernicus, of course, right? You're gonna search Copernicus. You know, Griffin, a special summon, you're gonna link 2. You're gonna go ahead, summon the Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh gonna use the effect, you're gonna place the scales up. You are going to go ahead and place Ragnarok and your, where is it? Orthros, you're going to burn 1,000. You're going to Pendulum Summon 2. Now, the thing that can be risky about this, it's always better to actually open the Copernicus over the Kepler, because here, when you go Copernicus to send, this didn't happen because I only played 1 Ishizu tier. And he had 3 hand traps for me anyways, which weren't Kelbeck. But this happened against my buddy that was playing tier when I was playtesting, and it's happened also on Dueling Book a few times. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So you're first going to send Necroslime, but what can happen here is that if you start off with Copernicus, if you decide to Pendulum Summon Copernicus and use the effect, or if you decide, you have to watch when you use Griffin here too, because this is where your biggest choke point is through a nib or a bounce, because if you use the effect as Foolish here and they have a Kelbeck, they're going to bounce it back. So it's always best to start off, like if you have Purimap and Griffin, you always want to grab Copernicus because you want to get your Foolish, they can't bounce this, so you Foolish Burial it, and then they can't Kelbeck you pretty well, they can't Kelbeck you effectively after that. So yeah. So you're going to go ahead and Foolish this, you're going to go ahead and overlay, and again, you have to watch the Griffin effect because if you ditch draw, then they can trigger it. So you have to really watch what you're doing there, but we're trying to play around Bystials here, so we're going to do the overlay. Marksman's going to burn. And instead of popping here, we're actually going to link. So we're going to link 2. We're going to go for the, oh, not 2 Gilgamesh, just the 1. We're going to summon Gilgamesh. The effect of King Tell is going to Foolish the Vice Typhon. And this is how you're going to play around Bystials. You're going to use Vice Typhon. If they Bystial it, that's fine because you still have access to this, which is technically your 2-card combo still. You're just going to be short of you're going to be short of a Siegfried, which is fine because that's still usually enough. But you're going to use Typhon first because you want to. This is where you want to force out the Bystial. You're going to banish, right? But if there's no interruptions, I'll show you how you play this out. You're going to summon the Genghis. You're going to go Necroslime effect. You're going to do this with the Copernicus, right? You're going to banish these 2. You're going to summon the High King, the Flame King. The High King is going to trigger. You're going to summon Caesar, effect of Genghis, summon the King Tell. You're going to use Orthros effect to target pop both of them. So you're going to do this now after you've done all these fusion summons. Now King Tell is going to use the effect to Foolish the spell. Oh, I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Foolish the spell, which is now going to recycle the Orthros. You're going to link 2. You're going to summon the Gilgamesh. You're going to go effect of Caesar. It doesn't really matter when you do it here. But you're going to go the effect of Caesar. And you're going to go ahead at the contract. Swamp King. Swamp King's going to use the effect. And you're just going to go ahead and banish Gilgamesh. And you do not need Tell at this point. You can just get rid of it. You're going to get rid of it. You're going to summon the High King. You're going to overlay. You're going to summon the High King Caesar. Ragnarok effect is going to target special summon on that summon. Griffin 1, Orthros 2 to chain block. Griffin's going to add you the trap. Here it is. You're going to add the... yeah, these sleeves need to... They're a little bit worn from yesterday. And then now you're going to get rid of these 2. You're going to summon the Siegfried. And then you're going to overlay, depending on what you think you're playing against. It's probably better to keep Gilgamesh out because there was twice where someone swung into a Gilgamesh. I was able to summon a monster. It was actually always this, and it was pretty good. The one time I didn't win because they still had advantage over me. The one time I did win because this card was just insane. So you're probably just going to overlay that. You're going to set Headhunt, and that's your 2-card combo. So you get an extra body on board doing this, and at the same time, you're playing around Bystials more effectively. At the minimum, if they have 1 Bystial, or if you have a Ghost Spell, you can play through 2. That's why I'm playing Ghost Spell. If they have 1 Bystial, you're still going to be able to play through. You're still going to be able to play through. You're still going to be able to make the Machine X Caesar still. So it's pretty nice. If it was me against the deck, though, I wouldn't be letting the Necroslime resolve. That's just the harsh reality. Okay, but again, it's like 99.9% going to work against everyone else. So, yeah, again, just to sum it up with that one is that Vice Typhon is essentially the bait for everything. So, yeah, so I'm going to show you guys a 3-card combo on how, if you're scared of the Bystials and you're going to need another level 4, how you can play around that. So we'll get into that now. Okay, guys, so let's say, so this is going to be how you're going to be playing around a Bystial in a weird hand scenario. So sometimes you'll get weird 3-card combo hands that look like this, where you have the Griffin, the Swirl Slime, but then the next piece is weird. It used to be common sense to just go like Fusion Summon, Banish, Special. This gets you either your Headhunt or your or your Orthros to make the Baron. Now you got to watch when you do that, because the average Bestial ratio is anywhere between 6 to 8. Sometimes they're on 9. The one Sprite player I played was playing 9 Bestials, which was crazy. That's the one I actually won against. The other one I think was on 7 or 8. He told me after, I can't remember what it was. It was 7 or 8. It was one of the two, but yeah, he managed to open 2 of them in a Valor both games, which sucks. But yeah, anyways, so this is what you're gonna want to do. Instead of sending the Griffin, you really, and this is what I was doing practically the whole tournament, is if I looked at this, my first train of thought was like, okay, I'm gonna lose to a Bestial if I send Griffin here, because my priority in this deck right now is to make a rank 4. That's it. So I'm gonna use Swirl Slime, right? Keep in mind, a lot of people don't know what they're doing against this deck nowadays. Like a lot less than before. People do still know how to hit the link, but a lot of people's memories kind of faded with this deck. So you're gonna summon Genghis. Now what you're going to do is you're going to actually trigger the Griffin. You're not going to use Swirl Slime. You're going to trigger Griffin to special summon, and now you're going to trigger Genghis to target this. If they have the Bestial, so if they have a Bestial, the Soronir, whatever, I don't know, say they use Soronir or Magnemite, they go like effect, target the Necro Slime, because they're seeing you're trying to get a play here because this is a target. It's common sense for someone that doesn't know the deck very well to actually remove this target from play. They're going to get rid of that, and that is fine, because now you have a level 4 and a Genghis to work with. You're going to use these two. Now, before I kind of go further, you're going to use Gilgamesh, right? You do need a contract to resolve this. So I'm going to say we had gate, right? Because you can't resolve this if you don't have the gate, or like a contract by any means. Let's just say you had I don't know, you could have any contract. The moral of the story is you're going to need a contract to do something like this. And the reason being is because Griffin can't pop itself without a contract. I completely forgot I didn't have a contract out for this. So it's going to take 1,000, right? What you're going to do is you're going to Pendulum Summon, right? And then you're going to do this. You're going to go effect, add back. And now that you have this, you're trying to protect this. If you guys kind of see what I'm doing here, you're kind of getting the point of this here. I was trying to protect this and my rank 4 play, because this can summon out the other Griffin now. So I'll banish the special. This special's from hand. I can now overlay, and now I have access to my rank 4. Now you're probably going to do it like this, where you're going to just send or you're actually probably going to, it's hard to say, you're probably just going to have to get the Headhunt, to be quite honest, because you already triggered the Genghis, but you're probably still going to have to add on a Headhunt, where if you use the Griffin, what I'm trying to say is if you use Griffin to try to make the rank 4, yes, it's more rewarding if it resolves, but if they have a Bestial, your turn ends dead there, so you at least get the Headhunt, is what I'm trying to say, right? So, if you guys kind of see what I'm doing there, it's basically I'm trying to protect my rank 4 play as much as I feasibly can, because you will get some weird hands like this where you have to wonder, okay, is it more valuable if I can send the Griffin and revive it back from graveyard and get a combo rolling there and trust that they don't have Bestials, or it's like, okay, do I want to just play it safe, and do I want to just use these, because people don't realize that if they banish this, it's not going to matter much because you still have access to your plays, right? Now, if they have a Druis Worm, it's going to be a bit harder because they're going to be able to clear one of the problem cards, but you still have Headhunt, which is really good. So, yeah, guys, so that's kind of just something I want to go over. It's kind of how I'm playing around Bestials. Basically, the way I'm trying to put it is that I'm not always sending cards like Griffin to the grave so I can get the value right away. Sometimes I'm saving it for later, where sometimes I'll have better hands where I'll just literally want to save the Griffin for later so I can then bait their Bestials out with cards I don't really care about reviving from the graveyard, if that makes sense. So that was kind of the way I want to show it. Again, if you want to use the Griffin scale effect, you need a contract either in your grave or on your field. But yeah, I hope you guys got the point there. So anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. Again, to moralize this deck's state in the game right now, it's obviously not amazing. From a local standpoint, you can definitely do well with the deck, especially if you're going to need some luck on your side, 100%. From a regional standpoint, depending on the size of it, you can definitely do well. At a 9-round regional, I really don't think it's going to, it depends. Like I said, if I won a decent amount of my die rolls, I definitely think I could have came, like at least X3. That was the goal at that point, was to go X3, but, in a smaller setting regional, like if you're going to like a 7-round regional, this deck could definitely do like decent, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Anything bigger than that though, it's not worth your time, I'm gonna say. It struggles against Bystials. That's the biggest thing. And the Ishizu cards, yes, they're good, but everyone can play Bystials, and yeah, Bystials really hurt. And against a lot of these decks right now, you're going to want to win the die roll against like Floowandereeze, Sprite. You kind of need to win the die roll against a lot of these decks. So yeah, guys, well, I hope you guys like that. That was my full tournament report and what I'm playing for my deck list right now. I hope you guys like it. Again, I don't want to like throw you guys away from, I know I did X5, like that's terrible. That's the worst I've ever done. But the purpose of doing that was to just kind of give you guys a truthfully honest feedback report of what I think, how the deck's actually performing. Again, comes down to the die rolls. So again, summarizing it, the die rolls and the Bystials is like really where this deck's struggling, right? So if you can win some good amount of die rolls, this deck really is rewarding if it goes first, because it's usually going to be able to put out the headhunt and have hand traps, which is amazing for you. But yeah, outside of that, you need some luck on your side, right? So yeah, again, don't want to demoralize you guys from playing this deck. I definitely think you guys should still give it a run if you guys love the deck as much as I do. Yeah, but if you want to go to a larger scale event, you should definitely be playing Ishizu tier or something that can compete with the deck. So yeah, guys, hope you guys like it. I'm probably going to be taking a break from this deck until the next ban list comes out for Photon Hypernova. After Photon Hypernova, I'm just going to be playing tier for the next while. The deck's insane. I just kind of want to take advantage of how powerful the deck actually is. So yeah, guys, but after that, you can expect some more content, especially after the ban list. You'll see me playing this on Dueling Book from time to time as well. So yeah, hope you guys like that, and I will see you in the next video. Stay jacked.